So hey guys, kind of moving over from YouTube to Rumble, becoming my primary kind of go-to video platform, and just thought I'd put out, as usual, kind of a quick thought of the day, if you will. So thinking about the origins of our country, thinking about what we the people, the culture, the systems that we lived in once upon a time. And I'm thinking about, you know, where a lot of us kind of came from, which is England. So at one point in time, and you could probably look beyond, England, UK, you could look at other countries around the world that had a dictator, had a king, had a queen that they responded to and that they answered to. The people have historically, before the founding of our country, have been used to having that kind of leadership: a king, a queen, a dictator of some shape or form. Our country was founded on a collection of people that was tired of that and came here and established a constitution and a Bill of Rights that would be a better world that the masses would migrate to, and would give us the freedoms and give us protections against moving into that kind of a world once again, moving back into a dictatorship, a kingship, a queenship once again. So with that being, again, this is just me kind of thinking what ifs, thinking whys. Why are things happening the way they are? And I was thinking earlier today, and this has been kind of an evolution of an idea, which is that our founding fathers had the best of intentions and they did all the right things, but they had to kind of bridge the world that our people were used to the world that they wanted to take us to. And so if you think about that, and I'm not saying this is true, I'm not saying this is reality, I'm just saying this is a why, this could be a potential possibility, that the president was put in place to be symbolic, to be a familiar sense of authority that the people would live up to and look to. Even though that person had term limits, that it evolved into a point where there were term limits. Granted, there were some presidents that kind of pushed those boundaries for a variety of reasons, but Washington did not want to evolve back into a dictatorship like we moved from, so he basically was a voice towards having term limits on presidents. But the president has been a bridge from that world that was once known into the world that we are in now. Now, even though we've got the First Amendment, which freedom of speech, we got the Second Amendment, which, for those of you who, again, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but the Second Amendment is about we, the people, being able to protect ourselves and prevent our government body from evolving into a dictatorship again. So we can defend ourselves. We can keep the we, the people, power structure around how our lives are governed. In any event, my thought was that this presidential role was established, and maybe it was established with the best of intentions in the beginning, but it evolved into a power structure that the people had a sense of control because they voted the president in, the quote-unquote king, queen, dictator, right? So we're going to give the power structure, we're going to give the people the sense that they are under control, they're in control, by voting these political players into the presidential role. Even though they're really controlled by puppet masters from above, even though they're controlled by a quote-unquote deep state, the people have the ability to vote this person in. And this person has always been a controlled opposition person. So even though that person has said the right things for you, the masses voted that person in, it was still a singular entity that was controlling the direction the country was going in, controlling a lot of the wheels and machinations at a global level, a national level and a global level. So if you kind of think back over the the decades and centuries even, there's been presidents that were effectively molded by the institution, by the deep state, by the system. They were molded, they were put up there, and we the people were able to vote whoever they wanted, even though both of them, regardless, were under the thumb of the system, if you will. So my theory, again, this is just my theory, is that this outsider has come up, and he unpredictably was voted into power. And I have to think this theory holds some water, only because if Hillary had been elected into the presidency, the end game was right there. All they had to do was put the right person in there. Everything was teed up. We were there from a one world government, from a lot of these things they've been baby stepping towards. So I think Trump was a freak of nature. He was an anomaly that kind of came into play. We the people got fed up with voting for these nice talking points that never really evolved into reality. And this is me thinking, Bush Sr. saying no more taxes, read my lips, lie. And things like that happened over the years, that I just said, it doesn't matter who we vote for, even though I'm, traditionally a Republican, none of these things are really happening. Over the course of 4 years, nothing is really happening. So in any event, I think that Trump, as an outsider, came into play. He was an anomaly. It was a freak of the system. We the people, in a barnstorm, voted him in. And I even though Hillary won the popular vote, I think if you took the nefariousness out, if you took the voter illegalities out that we know took place, I think that Trump probably would have won the popular vote as well. But be that as it may, the system is electoral college. He won effectively in a landslide. So I only bring this up because if you look at the system that we're in, it is crumbling before our eyes. The checks and balances of the system are not working. Basically, though, being held accountable to laws at every level of government and to the people, they're not being enforced. If depending on which side of the equation you fall on, laws are blatantly being ignored or blatantly being enforced. So obviously the whole system is coming down around us. Over the past 4 years, as we know, anybody that's paying attention and anybody that hasn't been paying attention and only listening to the propaganda engine, he's done a lot. Look at the executive order. I mean, I don't want to go, again, I don't want to go down that kind of rabbit hole, but he has done an incredible amount over the past 4 years. And so if you take someone that's independently run a company, someone whose bottom line, their accounting, their balance sheets, all balance out to some common end. You use the systems as they exist, and you basically get rid of the low-hanging, weak fruit, the drag on the company. You have a balanced budget. All of these things, I always thought if we brought that mindset to the government, that the world would be a much better place. But in any event, so I think Trump was an anomaly. I think he was a freak. I don't think it was supposed to happen. I'm only bringing this point up because if anyone is paying attention with even a sliver of an open mind, if some freak of nature, if they're able to jerry-rig, manipulate the election and Biden gets in, I can guarantee you the system, the government, will implode, and the power of the people to vote their elected officials into positions of power, like we got Trump in there, is going to go away. That option will never be available to you again, because they will not take that chance. They've had their fingers on the balances of justice. They've had their fingers on every part of the machine, and how Trump slipped in was not planned. I believe to the core of my being that he was not planned, and that if they're able to get Trump out of office and Biden wins, this option of voting for a president, this power that we have, will be stripped away. It will be. Historically, 20 to 30% of the voting population has voted for a president. There's people that just don't bother. My eldest son is not voting because he doesn't see the point in it. There's only so much I can do to kind of push that point. But don't be one of those people that wants to see the world as Trump and company have laid it out. Don't be one of those people that are lazy and don't do your part. Find that Biden gets his way in there and you complain about it. It's just like the concept of littering. You throw a piece of chewing gum paper out the window and you say, what's one little sliver of paper? It's not going to make that much of a difference. If everybody thought that way, obviously we would be litter up to our elbows, right? So every vote counts. If everybody has that mindset, do your part, do your civic duty. Early voting, don't wait till November 3rd. Don't wait for that Tuesday to go vote. Go now. Early voting is available. It's, it takes about an hour or so. It's a little bit longer because, everybody's trying to do the right thing. Go vote. Because if some freak of something happens, Trump doesn't win, and I'm not one of those people that bows down to Trump. I don't idolize him. I don't worship him. I love what he's doing. He's doing the right thing for we the people. He is an effective leader, but he is one person that is surrounded and backed by we the people. So this is a movement. This movement is going to push us through to the next stage of evolution that our country and this world needs to go to. So my point is, number one, I think Trump was an anomaly that shouldn't have happened. The wheels of the system have played a game that we all thought we were a part of. We did have some control, but it didn't matter. This time it didn't. So do your part.